to our final session on clearing, or maybe you'd like to call it simplifying or decluttering or simply getting rid of the junk. This is our last session, and I promised you last week that after looking at the obstacles of sort of clearing and simplifying our spaces, we'd take a whirlwind tour through some of the typical rooms in a typical living space. But honestly, as I was putting together some thoughts of what I wanted to share, rather than doing it in this session, I'm going to actually provide, or you may have already seen, the handout that's attached to this email that will really, I think, benefit our time better, in that we won't have a really long session, but you'll be able to take a copy of that, print it, and use it whenever you get around to deciding to clear those rooms. Last week I got a lot of really good feedback from you. You really liked kind of seeing the obstacles before they actually happen and knowing the pitfalls that might occur. This is a quote that I wrote down, and it was from one of my online decluttering courses, folks, and I honestly couldn't remember where, that I posted on my fridge. And I actually read it out loud every day without fail for about a year, unless I wasn't home. And now I know it pretty much by heart. And so each morning as I'm in the kitchen getting ready for my daily activity, I'll say it out loud. Sometimes maybe I say it to myself or to my dogs, but the quote goes like this: our homes are not containers for stuff, but rather a place for love and connection. Let's make room for more of that. In other words, more love and connection. Now, while that's not my win, if you recall, if you've been with me, the win for why I wanted to tackle this 2 years ago, and I'm still working on it, the wins were more the specific goals. But this was like that glass of water every day to kind of hydrate me and keep me realizing that no matter how much or how little I worked on clearing that particular day, it would make a difference. And obviously, I started even kind of putting this into a prayer of thanksgiving, in that I started feeling and seeing the results of my clearing. And so thanking God that my home was no longer a container for stuff, but a place for love and connection. I want to share with you that one of our ranch board members shared with me yesterday that he decided to give clearing a try, and he tackled his coat closet. He actually removed 10 coats. And when his wife came home, she was delighted as she had a space to easily hang her coat. I asked him if when he looked at the space, how did he feel? And he said, yeah, I felt lighter. I felt less stressful. It felt good. And I would like to say, too, that his clearing not only simplified his living and made the area more serviceable to him, but it also brought love and connection to his wife. So see, our homes aren't containers, and neither are our closets for just a bunch of stuff, but a place for love and connection. Now, my Living Space Tour's purpose is to provide you with a few more tips and perhaps that motivation to keep you going in your personal clearing, or declare the time is now to begin if you've just been listening and haven't really started to clear yet. But before we get into any of those specific rooms, there's important essential elements that I think fit for all rooms or all spaces you're clearing, no matter what. 5. First, when you start to tackle a room, or even a closet, a drawer, a cabinet, relocate the things that don't belong there. It's amazing how when you begin clearing, you start seeing stuff. It's like, how did this even get here? And especially if you're in a large family where kids and spouses and significant others are depositing things all over the house. So first, identify and relocate. Better yet, don't just relocate them in a pile. The best place would be is to put them where they belong. And we'll talk about every item should have a place or a home. I used the word home, like, where's your home? And, decided where that would be. And believe it or not, there were items that which home should this be? The laundry room or under the sink in the kitchen? I mean, sometimes that was a hard decision. Number two, second, clear off the flat surfaces. I called these the flats. I don't know what it is about the flats, but all I can tell you is they quickly, it's like they're a magnet or a sponge. Somehow they quickly get cluttered with stuff. And then when the flat surfaces in a room are cluttered, the whole room looks cluttered. So clear off those flat surfaces. And when you clear it, either toss, put it in the pile for giving away, or put it in the room it belongs. Third, as far as storage areas in all spaces, there are experts who would say, just don't worry about those, do the main space and then come back later. I can tell you that that this didn't work for me. In fact, I started with my bedroom as my first big room, and they said, take everything out of your closet, put it on your bed, and then for sure you want to go to bed at night, you'll get that off. Wrong. I went to bed at night with stuff on my bed, and I wasn't happy about it. Because I ran out of resources. I ran out of time and energy to get it all completed with all the stuff I brought out of my closet. I found that I need to clean out the cabinets, the drawers, the closets for sure, so that when I relocate items or when I decide to save items, I have a home, a place that those items are going to go to. And even though I might put it in this drawer, and later I'll decide if that's the right drawer, or I'm just putting it in the closet on a hanger, but later I'll decide that that's a blouse and that's going to go over here with the blouses. It doesn't really matter about that yet because I'm not really clearing out those areas. But what I'm doing is opening up a space for homes, for the things that I am clearing and am sorting. Fourth, after you remove a lot of those small things, the things that don't belong, the things on the flats, you will have a better view of the big items that no longer serve you in the room. This is where you find those knickknacks and things that you're like, I threw everything away. Now I have these baskets or I have these containers. I had an old hutch that I found when I was in college. And, in college, you find these treasures along the curb. And it really was a treasure. It's not really that attractive, but it probably still has some sentimental value with me. But once I took out all the junk, the things that didn't belong, I would say probably I had some of those C word, the crap, in that hutch. I had nothing to put back in it. And I really didn't want to use the hutch for a home for any of the items that I was clearing. And I realized that I have very little space in my small home, that removing the hutch gave me so much more space in that room, in my living area, that I removed the hutch. So I don't think I would have even noticed it because I know I've been hauling it for decades from place to place and just throwing junk in it. It really doesn't serve me anymore, so it's gone. Finally, fifth, once you have space, you'll find that you will feel lighter and less stressful. And the really cool thing too, it's so much easier to maintain, to clean. If you don't have a whole bunch of stuff on your flats, think how quickly you can dust bust that through. I mean, it just is so much easier. And it allows you more time because you're not constantly clearing, constantly sorting, constantly searching through it, constantly cleaning, to do the things that you desire for yourself and with your family. Rather than spending another lengthy session on room to room, as I've mentioned, I've attached it's an abbreviated list of common living areas to this email. It's not exhaustive in any way, but it's a great starting place and gives you some pointers. I would concur with the experts, though, that our environments and how they serve our mindful living makes a difference to our brains, our relationships, our families, our resources, both in time and money, and this is big, the enjoyment of our lives. So with a final clearing pause, please intentionally make a decision to clear for mindful living, even if it's only the flats, or a drawer or two, or tossing out the obvious items that no longer serve you or your family. Acknowledge the clearing you've accomplished, even if it's little, and or the time that you've been listening to this session on clearing. Because you know what, friends, this is also time spent for self-care. Clearing also is a technique, a strategy for self-care, because it really does affect how you look at your life and how you use your environment and space for yourself and others. And of course, it creates strategies for mindful living. So until next week, oh yeah, and we'll be marching into March next week. Please be well.